You're planning a trip to Japan. You want to visit Tokyo. And maybe, like so many other people, you're wondering whether Tokyo in real life is really as good as the way people keep advertising it. Well then, watch this video all the way through with me. In this video, I'm going to show you Tokyo through the most honest shots I personally experienced, saw, and filmed myself. I'm not going to force myself to tell you that this place is amazing, or that you absolutely have to visit that place. And I'm not here to make you love Tokyo just because everyone says it's worth going. I just want you to look slowly, look carefully, and then feel it for yourself. Judge it for yourself. Decide for yourself whether this city is really worth your money, your time, and your anticipation for a trip. My name is Mai. I'm a Vietnamese creator who has just started doing YouTube. If you find this video helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you could give me a like and a subscribe, so I have more motivation to keep making better videos. Thank you so much. And who knows, maybe one day, when you come to Vietnam, we might even get the chance to meet. But for now, let's get into the main topic of this video. And while you watch these very real images of Tokyo, I'm going to tell you a famous story connected to this city. A story that doesn't appear in travel brochures. A story that isn't printed on glowing advertisements, but a story that has stayed attached to Tokyo for many, many years. It is the story of Yotsuya Kaidan, the story of a woman named Oiwa. It is the story of Hachiko. If you've ever seen the small dog statue in Shibuya, then there's a good chance you've already walked past one of the most touching symbols of Tokyo, without fully knowing the story behind it. At first glance, it's just a small statue. Not very big, not grand, not overwhelming like the giant LED screens or the packed crossings of Shibuya. But sometimes, the things that stay with people the longest are not the biggest things. They are the truest ones. And Hachiko's story is one of those stories. The story began in the 1920s. Back then, Tokyo was not yet the Tokyo we see today. There were no giant advertising screens, no long rows of lights shining all night, no modern pace of life the way we know it now. That city was still growing, still changing day by day, still stepping from the old world into the new. And in that version of Tokyo, there was a man named Hidesaburo Ueno. He was a professor. He taught at the University of Tokyo. A man with a steady life, quiet, serious, very much like many Japanese men of that time. And then one day, a small Akita dog came to live with him. That dog was Hachiko. At that time, no one knew that this little dog would one day become one of the most famous names in Shibuya. At first, Hachiko was simply a dog in the house. He ate, he slept, he ran around the yard. He followed his owner. He got used to the smell of the house, used to the sound of the door opening, used to the footsteps, used to the daily rhythm of the man he loved most. Every morning, Professor Ueno left home for work, and Hachiko often walked with him to see him off. Every afternoon, the professor returned from Shibuya Station, and Hachiko would go there to greet him, day after day, again and again. So regularly that it stopped feeling like a habit. It became part of life itself. If someone had stood at Shibuya Station back then and watched that scene, they probably would have thought nothing special of it. A man going to work, a dog waiting for his owner to come home. Something very ordinary, but some things, while they are happening, look completely ordinary, only after they disappear. Do people realize how precious they really were? Then one day, that changed. May 21, 1925. Professor Ueno died suddenly at work. He never made it back home. He never stepped off that familiar train again. He never got the chance to see Hachiko come running to greet him. But Hachiko did not know that. That afternoon, he still went to the station. He still waited. Maybe in his simple mind, that day was just a day when his owner was a little later than usual. Maybe every time a train stopped, he lifted his head. Maybe every time the doors opened, he looked carefully at the people getting off. Maybe he still believed that if he waited just a little longer, the familiar person would appear. But Professor Ueno never came back. And from that moment on, the story began to turn heartbreaking. Because what happened next did not last for one day, not for 1 week, not just for 1 season. Hachiko kept returning to Shibuya Station, day after day, month after month, year after year. No one told him he had to do that. No one could explain to him that the person he was waiting for would never return. He simply kept waiting, in the same place, with the same rhythm, with the same faith. And that faith is what made an entire city remember his name. I think what makes Hachiko's story so painful is not only the fact that he was loyal, it's that he did not know he was being loyal to something that could never come back. When human beings lose someone, at least we understand what loss means. But Hachiko did not. He did not know what death was. He did not know what permanent separation meant. He did not understand why someone who always came back suddenly stopped coming back. He only knew how to wait. And sometimes, that kind of simplicity is exactly what hurts the most. From being a dog who waited only for his owner, Hachiko slowly became a familiar sight at Shibuya Station. People began to know him. The station staff knew him. The commuters knew him. The shopkeepers nearby knew him. People saw him there in the rain. People saw him there in the heat. People saw him there in the cold. He appeared there so faithfully that it felt as if the station itself had grown used to his presence. And from there, Hachiko's story began to spread. Maybe the most beautiful thing about this story is this. At first, Hachiko was waiting for just one person, but as time passed, the whole city began to look toward him. A dog who had once belonged only to one man eventually became something that so many people could never forget. People brought him food, paid attention to him, talked about him, and then the story stopped being only about a dog and his owner. It became a symbol, a reminder, something that made people grow quiet. Because this story is so simple that no one can argue with it. A dog loved his owner. The owner never came back, but the dog kept waiting. That's all. And somehow, that's all is exactly what makes people unable to bear it. Some stories do not need too many characters. They do not need a big twist. They do not need a complicated tragedy. They only need a heart that feels real. And that alone is enough to touch people. Later, as more and more people learned about Hachiko, a statue was built for him in Shibuya. And what does that mean? It means that while he was still alive, Hachiko had already become more than just a dog. He had become part of the city itself. In a Tokyo that was changing every single day, in a Shibuya that was becoming more and more crowded, there was still this small being sitting there, as if he were holding on to something very old, very steady, and very rare. That was loyalty. Just think about it. Around that statue now is a crowd that never stops moving. Footsteps, trains, traffic signals, a rhythm so fast that no one wants to stand still for long. And Hachiko still sits there, quiet, small, but unforgettable. That is beautiful, because in the middle of a city that moves too fast, there is a story that reminds people of something very slow. Waiting, trust, not forgetting. Hachiko died in 1935, but his story did not end there. It kept living in the statue, in books, in films, in Tokyo's memory, and in the hearts of so many people, even people who never saw him. And I think that is the most special thing of all, because some lives are not long, not loud, not praised for doing something grand in the way people usually celebrate, but with one true feeling. They can still make the world remember them. Hachiko was a life like that. If one day you really go to Shibuya, walk through that crowded crossing, and pass that small statue, stop for a moment. Not for long, just for a moment. Then look at Hachiko, and remember that, right in the middle of one of the busiest places in Tokyo, there is still a very old story, about a dog who once sat there waiting, day after day, only because he believed that the person he loved would come back. And maybe that is exactly why Hachiko is not just a statue. He is a quiet part of Shibuya, a deeply human part. In the middle of a city that feels too big, a part of memory, inside a place that never stops moving. And maybe stories like this are what make Tokyo far more unforgettable. Not just because it is modern, not just because it is crowded, not just because it is bright, but because beneath all of that, it still keeps stories that are real enough to touch people's hearts. If you go to Tokyo only to take photos, you will come home with beautiful pictures. If you go to Tokyo only to check in at famous places, you will have famous places. But if you go there and give yourself a little time to listen to stories like Hachiko's, then maybe you will bring home something more than just a trip. You will bring home a feeling that is difficult to name, but strong enough to stay with you for a very long time. So, if one day you really find yourself standing in front of Hachiko's statue in Shibuya, don't just take one photo and walk away. Stay there for one extra beat. And think about a dog who once waited there. Not for a day, not for a week, but for many years, only to wait for someone who would never return. And sometimes, stories that small are exactly what make a city feel much bigger in someone's heart.